Hey everybody, Michelle Caswell, Purely His. That is me. I realized I did not unplug my phone, so hopefully no one calls me while we're on this. It's like normally I remember to do those things, but sometimes I forget. So how was your guys' day? Mine was busy. I was really busy. I had the grandsons last night and then all day today. I literally just got back like 3 minutes before this was supposed to start. So that's why I'm a little bit late. But anyways, yeah, so I had the grandsons overnight and they were, a lot of fun to hang out with. And they really kept me going. So we did a lot of pillow fighting, a lot of wrestling, a lot of playing calf roping. We were watching calf roping videos on YouTube. We were doing all kinds of stuff. It was a very busy day, but a lot of fun. I love having grandsons. So yeah, I just got back from taking them to Ashland to their mom and dad, and then rushed back here so I could do Friday Night Live. What do you guys do today? Did you guys play calf roping also? I don't know if anybody else was roped today and taken to jail, but I was several times. My couch was jail. So yeah, they like to rope. They call it roping my head. So they come up to me and they put the rope over my head and then they proceed to take me to jail and put me on the couch. So yeah, so we did a lot of that today. It was fun. I'm exhausted. I'm sure I'm going to sleep really good tonight. Because Lord knows I did not sleep well last night because my little Landon, my youngest grandson, is very much like my youngest son, Jordan, and is a mover and a shaker when he sleeps. So at one point, I had to bring him into bed with me because he was just kind of fussy. So I brought him into bed, and then he was just like all over my bed. Like he was like going way up above my head. So I had to like take his little foot and pull him back down a few times. And then he'd like, lay on my chest and he'd lay up the other way across me. And it was, yeah, that little guy is busy even in his sleep. So anyways, hey, can you guys tell me if when you're looking at this video right now, if it looks blurry to you? Because it looks blurry on my end. I got a new phone and it was supposed to be like better video and better pictures, but I don't think it is. So can you tell me if it's blurry on your end or if it's just the way I'm viewing it with my phone? Because if it is blurry, I need to take it back and tell them to fix it. My dad says, then they're doing it just right. Yeah. Yeah, I slept most of the day after our unmasquerade, Shannon. Man, I ate all my meals sitting right there in my bed. It does look blurry on your side, Darlene? Dang it. Okay, I'm taking this back. It's a brand new phone, so I don't know why it would look blurry. So I don't know if there's some sort of setting. I know, Darlene, you're really good at that type of stuff. So yeah, if anybody knows if it's a setting that's on my phone that's making it blurry or whatever, or if I just need to get a new phone, because that's crazy. All right. Well, so I had something that I wanted to talk about tonight. It's going to be super like casual and unplanned, like always. I tell my husband almost every single time before I get on stage of any type or when I get on to do my Friday Night Lives, I usually be like, I'm so unprepared. I don't know what I'm going to say. And then I get on and I open my mouth and it's like, out comes the Lord. And it ends up being awesome anyways. So, even if I don't feel prepared, the Lord is always prepared. So yeah, so there's been something that's been on my heart it's personally something that I'm going through, and I always know, like, hey, if I'm going through it, somebody out there is probably going through it. Last week I did a video and it completely went a different way than what I thought I was going to talk about, but I had several people reach out to me privately after that and tell me how much it meant to them and actually help them identify an area that they were stuck, a person they needed to forgive. And so I always know that even if I'm not prepared or I don't have something that it seems to be like, wow, this is this crazy thing and I have to share it with everybody, it ends up being something that can help somebody else. So whatever. So I'm just going to keep doing these things and keep doing them the way that I do them. And if it only helps one person each week, then that is 4 people a month, maybe 5, depending on how many weeks are in there. Shannon says, probably a setting or clean the lens. I did clean the lens and it didn't work. So I don't know what's going on with it. And I have no idea what setting to check, but I'll see if I can look into this afterwards. If anyone knows the exact answer, that would be awesome. I cleaned like this side of the lens, which is like the side that my phone is, so it's not like the back side, but it's like facing this way. So I'm assuming that that's the one I'm supposed to clean versus like the one on the back side. So anyways, I'll keep trying, but I can tell that I'm blurry. So whatever, listen to my voice. So anyways, so something happened recently with me where I literally cannot even remember exactly where I was. Normally I can remember exactly where I was, but I feel like it was like a time of worship, like I was in worship. And this was only like a week or 2 ago. So I don't know why I can't figure out exactly where I was, but I guess that doesn't actually matter. But I know that I was worshiping. So whether it was like here at my house or if I was at church or whatever, I was telling the Lord that I was so sick of the direction my life is going right now, because I started noticing that I was focusing more on what God could give me as far as like my calling and what that was supposed to look like. I started focusing more on what he could give me, more on the gift, more on the calling than I was actually focusing on him. And I realized that I had gotten off track, and I started like really crying, and I started telling the Lord that I wanted him to strip me of every single thing that I have accumulated over this last 13 and a half years. And I started picturing myself being up at the altar when I was at Victory Outreach. And Victory Outreach is where I went for rehab. And I was picturing myself up at the altar, down on my knees, bawling my face off, 13 and a half years ago. And I didn't know if I was going to get my kids back. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to get married again. I didn't know what my life was going to look like. I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay clean and sober. I didn't know anything. My parents were still out there, living their life. My sister was still out doing her thing. Like it seemed very bleak at the time, even though I had some hope of things getting better. But I remember I was fighting for my life back then. And I was clinging to God with everything that I had, because I had nothing else. Like I had no job, had no vehicle, had no driver's license, I don't know if I had driver's license, but I don't think I have driver's license. I don't think I had a bank account. I didn't have custody of my kids because they were with my dad. And, I had like really nothing. And it is one of the happiest times of my whole life. Even though it was like the hardest, it was one of the happiest because I was the closest to the Lord at that time. It's like every time I opened my word, I was like, boom, getting something out of it. Every worship song, I got something out of it. Every time I went to church, I was expecting God to give me a word. I was believing for miracles. I was fighting for my life. I was fighting for my family. I was, completely all in with Jesus. And literally like had none of the things I actually thought I wanted. And so sometimes when I start noticing that I'm like straying from the Lord, if I start getting kind of like away from him in any way, shape, or form, I always go back in my mind to what I used to do when I was in Victory Outreach. And I also go back to that time because that's who I want to be. Like I have gotten away from who I was back then. Like back then I was just a girl who totally loved Jesus and was like letting him like change her whole life. And she was willing to help anyone in need because she was so thankful for what God had done in her life. It's like, that's who I was, and that's who, I was becoming. And it was like I was stripped of everything, but I was more than enough. And I was more than happy being in that state. And so, anyway, so just recently, I was in that time of worship, and I was going back to my mind, and I was back there in Victory Outreach, and I just kind of just started weeping, and I just started telling the Lord, I want you to strip me of everything that I've accumulated over this last 13 and a half years. This I'm the founder of a nonprofit. Oh, it's going to be a worldwide ministry, and I'm going to be on stages in front of 20,000 people someday, and I am an author, and I did this, and I did that, and all this other garbage. It is starting to ruin me. It's starting to ruin my relationship with Jesus, because I'm getting so focused on the calling, so focused on the gifting, that I am starting to, diminish my relationship with Jesus. I'm getting further and further away from that. And I don't want to do that. That is not what I want to do. And so I was so close to just giving up everything and really just fully returning to Jesus in every way, shape, and form, and even in a practical sense. And so it was like I was surrendering all of those things, but I was ready to surrender them practically too. I was ready to do whatever I needed to do to not have anything in the way of me and Jesus, in the way of our relationship. And so anyways, I was surrendering basically down to my guts, to the point that if he would have said, dissolve purely his, I would have done it. I was that serious and that done and that disgusted with myself and disappointed in myself, that I had let it become something that it was never supposed to be. And so anyways, what I started noticing is that I was lusting after my calling. So I have a vision in my head. I have a picture in my head of what it's going to be. And I started making that an idol. And even though it was like God gave it to me, but I started, worshiping it basically in my own mind, thinking about it so much, and what can I do to get there, and all this stuff, and really thinking about myself on that stage, and what I would feel like if I got to be on that stage, and the money that would be associated with it from that stage, or whatever, or the fame that could come with it. And I started really letting that kind of, go to my head. And not only that, it's because it wasn't happening, then I was getting mad. And so it was just a really ugly place to be. And that is not who I want to be. I don't need to be all that. I don't need to do all that stuff. And it's so crazy, because from that day that I really, really surrendered like that and told him you know what? Strip me of everything, Lord. I don't want it. Anything that's going to distract me from you, Lord, strip me of it all. Everything that I have accomplished, everything that I've become, my new identity, all this stuff. And I don't mean my identity in Christ, but you know what I mean? This identity that I have helped to create. I really surrendered it down, from the depths of my soul, from my guts. And so once I did that, it's only a few days ago. I don't know why I can't think of exactly where it was or exactly what days. I'm usually really good with details, but I think that it's probably because it doesn't really matter. The point is it happened. I did it. I surrendered. And then all of a sudden, in the last few days, my desires have started to change, which is so weird. I started thinking, do I even want to be on big stages like that? Do I literally want to go get on an airplane and fly all over the country and all over this and be busy all the time and fly this place and fly that place and go and speak on these places? It's I started looking at that going, I don't even think I want that. Maybe that's why he never gave it to me, is because really he knows deep down I don't actually want to live that kind of life. Do I want to help people, disciple people, set people free, pray over them, all that stuff? Yeah. But do I really want that on that scale of a life? Do I actually want to live that life? And I started thinking I don't think I do. So as you're on this journey with me, we'll see how my life ends up. But I wonder if the reason why I'm feeling that way, you know what? I don't even think I want it like that. I don't I'm not sure I want that. So it's either that God is changing my desire because I really don't want that, or he's helping me to fully like let it go all the way to where when it does happen, I don't make it an idol like I was about to just a few days ago. So I don't really know what's going on with me, but I do know that something is happening on the inside of me and something is breaking on the inside of me. And it came from me recognizing that my thought process, the things I was setting my mind on, the things I was setting my heart on, I was starting to skew something. I was starting to turn it into something it was never created to be turned into. And I started looking at what the gift giver could give me versus looking at the gift giver himself. And so I started getting away from just that relationship with Jesus where it's just like, no, it's just all about him. It's just like, if I just hang out with him, then I'll have words to give to somebody else. If I just hang out with him, then I'll have the love that I need to give to other people. If I just hang out with him and enjoy him and have a relationship with him, then my life's going to be good. And just knowing the fact that I actually get to go to heaven is enough. And so I feel something changing. I feel something breaking. And again, I had to take those steps. I had to recognize it. I had to confess it out loud to the Lord. I had to then surrender it. And then I'm just going to follow his lead. So I don't know what things are going to look like going forward. I don't think my calling has changed, but I think that maybe the way I was going to go about it is going to change. So I still just want to be a girl that loves Jesus and will do anything for him and anything for other people as long as it's within, the means that I have or the time that I have. And really just not be focused on what is to come, really focus on like that vision that's out there. I just really need to focus on the fact that I'm walking out the vision right now. And so I don't know if there's an area of your life that you have been so focused on what God can give you that you have forgotten God, that you have forgotten that relationship with him. So I don't know if any of you would be willing to be vulnerable to share that. I know it's difficult, especially when we're like such outspoken Christians. When you're a really outspoken Christian and you have to tell people like, man, I've been focused on the wrong things lately. I haven't really been focused on Jesus lately. I've been more focused on what could Jesus give to me? What can I get out of this? Even though I never said that out of my mouth. But if I really just looked at it, if I really just looked at my heart and really just focused on how much time I was spending on all of that, I have to admit I was focused on what I could get from him and not on him. And I'm repenting from that. That is something that, I already repented from it, but I'm just in that season right now of just repenting from that and just really paying attention to that I want my mind and my heart and my life to be focused on Jesus and him alone, and then the other things will come from that. Anyone else get off track like me? Or am I the only one? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I think this is a common problem. It's rough. There's a lot of distractions in this life. My husband and I have been doing some talking lately about like what we want our life to look like and how we want to help people. And we have some pretty cool ideas that wasn't planning on sharing. I'll share it anyways. But so for those of you that don't know, I know I talked about this like years ago on Facebook at some point. I actually like posted a picture or whatever, but we have an area on our property that is has a separate septic system and a separate driveway that was already there before we got here. And there is also, we are allowed to build or have a manufactured home or whatever up to 1,200 square feet, which is like a small 2-bedroom little house. And so we've been talking about this for years about what we could do if we had a spot like that over there. We could make it an Airbnb and get extra money, that way, so we'd have like another, income stream. We can combine that with like our wedding venue that we have here, and make it to where it's like, oh, the bride can get ready there, and then that could be like their honeymoon suite for that night or whatever. We've also talked about doing retreats there that like I would put on, like purely his retreats, where it's like getting people unstuck, over several day period. We've talked about like opening it up and allowing like pastors to do prayer retreats or women's retreats or men retreats. And you could only fit like 8 or 10 people in there. So it'd be really small, but we have been talking about moving forward on that. Don't know exactly how all that would play out. It takes money to do something like that. But if you guys could keep us in prayer, that would be awesome, because I would love to be able to just go right out my door and go over to this building over here and be able to minister to people right on our property, and to be able to spend more time with people as we're ministering to them, instead of just meeting for coffee, but actually getting a few days with somebody to really help them go all in with Jesus and get unstuck from anything in the way of that. So so I have way more ideas than that, but it would probably take up too much time. I'd have to do a complete live video on just that. But we had somebody, 2 years ago, she was going to donate a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath manufactured home to us for over there. And we actually called the county to find out like, hey, is there any way you guys could extend the square footage that we could have? And they were like, nope, it's 1,200. That's it. Not 1,300, and definitely not 2,500. So anyways, we'll see what the Lord wants to do with that. But, that may be one of the ways that he is going to change my calling, same thing that I would do. It just wouldn't be getting on planes and going all over the place. It would be me putting on my boots and going right over there and ministering to people on a regular basis. All right. Darlene said, you're not alone. It's easy for our eyes to focus on the calling. It is. Part of what I was doing is, as I was focusing on the calling, I was getting my calling and my relationship with Jesus like mixed up, as if it was the same thing, but it's not. And so, the calling is what you do with the Lord, but sometimes we're like, okay, Lord, I got this. And we kind of leave him over there and we just kind of go for it. So, that's part of what I was doing. And Shannon says, I can totally relate. When my marriage was struggling, I was definitely relying on God way more. So we had a little bump recently, and it reminded me of how he wants me to relate to him and rely on him only. Yeah, it's in those hard times when we start to go like, we start to lean on him more. And it's like, sometimes I think about that and go, I can picture the Lord saying this, even though he didn't directly say it, but it's like, do I have to give you another trial so you'll rely on me again? Because as soon as you are in a trial, you'll hit your knees so fast, you'll hit your face so fast and be worshiping me and praying for me or praying with, to me and all this other stuff. And it's like, things are going good. It's like, I'm off and running. And so, I wish that I didn't have to like go through trials to like stay close to the Lord. And so, I think that it's a good lesson to not get that far, to not wait for the next trial. It's like, if I'm not dependent on God, if I'm leaving God in the dust to go after my calling, it's probably out of order and it's not really going to work. So aligning ourselves with Jesus again and just being like, okay, Lord, I'm back all in with you. I don't want to leave you anymore. I don't want to worship my calling. I don't want to worship my new identity that you're giving me. I don't want to do that. So let's see. Darlene says, I also think that when we know our calling, we just head out on that journey and we don't keep listening to the Lord. We just create the picture when he really just pointed us in the general direction of his calling for us. Exactly. So as I was thinking about this just this last couple of days and picturing me doing, this retreat over here, I was picturing like, okay, if I had 8 women that I spent like 5 days with, and did all this stuff, just really like ministering to them, what would I be doing? I would be raising them up and sending them out. And that is how I would continue to be involved in the discipleship movement. I would be discipling them and raising them up and sending them out, because I started thinking about like, what do I love to do? Okay, I love to get on stage and share my testimony or share a word from the Lord. But it's really not being on stage that gets me fired up. It's as soon as I get off the stage and somebody comes up to me and says, "You just told my story," and starts crying or whatever, or they confess something that, I just shared in my testimony, and then I get to encourage them and I get to pray over them. That's my favorite part. My other favorite part about this ministry is going and visiting all the different groups. I love going in the groups, not just to like go in there and look. I love to go in there and get my hands dirty. I like to go in there and be in the trenches and get to disciple them. I love doing that. And I love working with people one-on-one, whether it's on a phone call or Facebook Messenger or texting, or like over a coffee date. Like, I love working with people one-on-one. It all has to do with discipleship. But that's what I really love to do. And so I'm just going to start doing more of that type of stuff. I mean, I already do that all the time, but I think I'm just going to be more focused on that and not so focused on what is to come, more just focused on where I'm at right now and enjoying it. And, I'm just really going for it. But mostly I'm going to focus on how I felt when I was at Victory Outreach, how close I was with the Lord, because I can get that back. All I have to do is literally go right on the other side of my couch. I got a rug on the floor. I literally can go right over there, get on my knees, get on my face, put worship music on, and I can be right back where I was when I was in Victory Outreach. I don't have to go through a trial. I don't have to lose my kids. I don't have to go through all this stuff. I literally just have to seek the Lord with the same fervor I sought him when I was there. And so, if you have a special place in your mind, maybe one time you knelt down at during a communion service, you knelt down in front of a big cross, or you had this walk with the Lord, and all of a sudden it was like, boom, the Lord just gave you revelation or encouraged you or showed you who he was. Go back to that place, that really special place where it's like, gosh, why can't I feel like that all the time? Why can't I serve God like that all the time? Go back to that place and then think to yourself, how can I recreate that with where I'm at right now? Okay, I don't have all those girls that were in rehab around me. Yeah, I don't have this set aside 1 hour time of prayer right before church service, but what do I have? Okay, well, I got a rug, I got a floor, I can turn on YouTube and put on some worship music. There are ways that we can recreate those times where we were so close to the Lord, and it doesn't take very long. I could literally get on my knees right now, put my face to the floor, turn on worship music, and I would be bawling within 20 seconds. I can be that close to the Lord that fast by just intentionally, making him a priority, intentionally, worshiping him and humbling myself. And so, think back for yourself. What time of your life, what did that look like, in your past when you got really close to the Lord, and see if you can't recreate that now. Can you go on a walk again? Can you get down, on your knees? Can you turn that certain song on? Can you call that certain person? Can you, what can you do to stir your own self up again? Aw, Cammie, thank you. Last year, the Lord didn't give me, Darlene says, last year, the Lord didn't give me a new or renewed vision for 2019. He simply said, do what you know, and when you don't ask me for the next, do what you know, and when you don't know, ask me for the next step. Ooh, that's good. At first, I felt embarrassed when people would ask me what my vision was. Now I look back and see how it was a year to lean on him completely for even the day-to-day things. Some really deep healing happened. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, staying in the moment with Jesus. That's it's a hard thing to learn, especially when you're a visionary or you're goal driven, which I know you are, Darlene. I watch your stuff and you're got my goals for the year and the week. And you're I have my meals planned for the week. I'm dang girl, you really plan. So that must have been hard for you to be in the moment, be in the day to day. Aw, Cammie, I love you. It's funny because you say that's and people want what you have, and what you have is a relationship with Jesus. And it's true, but it's also, if you hear the beginning of me talking about this, I was talking about how I was basically leaving the Lord to go after what the Lord offered me. So it was like I was leaving the Lord and bowing down to my calling, to my future calling, and then getting mad that it wasn't happening. And I was like basically making my future calling, you know, like an idol, like a God I was bowing down to. And I was just saying how that was really leaving me feeling unfulfilled and yearning and longing for what I had when I was in Victory Outreach. And so I was just trying, like, you know, how do I recreate that? So yeah, so even though I do have a good relationship with Jesus, there's a lot of ups and downs, mostly because of me. But yeah. Candy says, it's cool because God exists outside of time, so he's here right now, but he's also at the exact same time and moment you felt closest to him. So true. So true. Yeah, I love feeling close to the Lord. It makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel protected. It makes me feel like it's all worth it. Yeah, it's a crazy, wild ride, and it is hard to like stay all in with Jesus because of so many distractions. Like, I mean, just distractions alone, like Facebook or the phone or you know, whatever, Hulu and Netflix and stuff like that. Like, even if it's just stuff like that, things are really distracting, or our chores or our goals or our families or whatever. And it's like nothing is more important than Jesus. And so I'm really trying to be intentional about spending more time with him. And I have to do it in my own way. So it's not going to look the same as everybody else, but I am trying to like pursue him right now and let go of the things that frankly do not matter. So it's not really what he's calling me to do. So I'm just going to do what he's calling me to do. And that is spend time with him and love him, and out of my relationship with him, then I'll do some other stuff. But I just got to be close to him. So I'm most happiest and most effective when I am. So anyways, that's that. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. Like I said, I didn't technically have anything actually planned. One thing we do have planned though is on Monday night, I'm going to do another live video with my friend Cynthia. She's actually like the best massage therapist in the entire world. I've never gone to the entire world, but I've had a lot of massage therapists and she is the best. And so anyways, she is going to, she's going to do a live video with me on Monday. She's had something really on her heart, and so we're going to do it together. First, we're going to go live at 6:20 in our group leaders private page, and then right after that at 7 o'clock, well, there'll be a little bit of time, but right after that at 7 o'clock, we're going to be on this page, on our public page, and basically share some of those same things. So I would love for you guys to be on there with us, and if you can, even start like a watch party so that other people can watch with you, or even share it on in our other groups like the Band of Brothers group or the Sisterhood group. That would be awesome, because what she has to share I think is really powerful, and she's had it on her heart for like 2 months to be able to share, maybe longer than that, but at least 2 months. So I'm excited for that. So Monday night, 6:20 in the group leader page for those of you who are group leaders, and 7 o'clock on our Purely His page. So thank you for that. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. I know most people watch the replay, so hey everyone who's on the replay. All right, well, you guys have an awesome night, and I am going to get off of here and clean up my house from my grandsons being over here all day. I'm sure I have a lot of little tiny messes to clean up. All right, you guys have an awesome night, and watch the replay if you just got on here. Okay, bye.